Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast live stream. We're going a bit later today. Apologies for that. It's been a very busy news day, needless to say. Not far from where I'm sitting right now, Dallas, Texas. We had 2 people killed at an ICE facility, Immigration Customs Enforcement. Once again, I am assuming that the shooter was a radical leftist, inspired by Democrat anti-ICE rhetoric, calling ICE agents the Gestapo, etc. We'll get more details about that as the hours go on, but that was a major news story, of course. President Trump's speech at the UN yesterday before the General Assembly, we got to break that down, folks. But the main order of business right now is this look, not deadly yet that we know of, but very serious Houthi drone attack against the southernmost city in Israel, the tourist resort of Eilat, sitting right there on the Red Sea. Now, here's some of the details, and you might be thinking, the Houthis, them again? I thought Israel wiped out their leadership about a month ago. Well, Israel did in a targeted strike in the Yemeni capital of Sana'a, the Houthi capital, essentially, of Sana'a. Israel did take out a good portion of the Houthi leadership. 2 big problems. Number one, there's still some of the Houthi leaders left. Number 2, the Houthis have a large arsenal of ballistic missiles and drones still. Now, Israel's strategy was, hey, cut the head off the snake, take out the leadership. A wise strategy, and it always works, and it will work ultimately. But in the meantime, the Houthis, who are a obviously insane, and I don't say that lightly, group of jihadists who are demonic, they're going to just keep until you literally kill them. Utterly destroy them, just like Hamas in Gaza. They're going to continue to fire off missiles and drones. Folks, when you're facing demonic evil, this is what you're up against. This is what they do. This is their whole rationale for being: to maim, murder, create mayhem, and destroy. This is what they do. So Israel can smash them and hit them hard, which they have. Not only, again, targeting the leadership in Sana'a a few weeks ago, but also strike after strike against the Houthis' Hodeidah port, against military targets, etc. You can do that and continue to do it, but until this organization of terrorists is completely wiped out, and because they are demonic, and because this is who they are, it's why they breathe, to kill and to destroy Israel. Or as their motto says, the Houthi official motto, I think it's something like, death to the Jews, death to America, death to Israel, or a curse upon the Jews, Allahu Akbar, Allah is greatest, etc. So other than that, they're perfectly moderate, I'm sure. But they're going to continue to do this. And Israel is smart enough, more than smart enough, to know that if they don't crush Hamas in Gaza, Hamas will continue to do it as well. Hamas will look to duplicate October 7th many times over. And may I remind you, we are fast approaching the 2-year anniversary of the October 7th attack. Hard to believe, but that's where we are. Look at what Israel did with Hezbollah. You haven't heard much from Hezbollah in the past nearly a year now, because Israel utterly smashed their leadership and a good chunk of their military capabilities and the terror hornet's nest that was southern Lebanon. So the Houthis, look, challenging because there's still some of the leaders left, number one. Number 2, lots of weapons. And guess who supplied those weapons? You guessed it. The Iranian regime. They're patrons in Tehran. And third, and we've said this a bunch on the live stream over the past few weeks, past few months, really. The problem in Yemen is it's a vast, rugged, mountainous terrain with lots of places to hide, caves and all the rest. Some of it probably unexplored by men. Still, it's a Wild West times 1,000. And if you're a Houthi jihadi, you can literally roll a missile launcher out of a large cave or a drone, fire it, then run back into the cave and hide. That's a tough nut to crack for Israel, for any military. Look, the United States, from March through May, was bombing Yemen incessantly, targeting the Houthis, and yet here we are. Not only do they still have drones and missiles, there is still the attacks, not recently, but Red Sea shipping, of course, which has an effect on everyone watching this live stream right now, no matter where you are, because the Red Sea is one of the world's crucial waterways, and the Houthis continue to attack global shipping, not just Israeli shipping. in the Red Sea. So it's got to stop. But here's the deal. How do you stop it? We're going to talk about that. But first, here's the details of the latest Houthi atrocity against Israel. From the Times of Israel, just reading this straight off my phone. Over 20 wounded, again, this was earlier today, over 20 wounded, including 2 seriously, in Houthi drone attack on Eilat. An unmanned aircraft, a drone, exploded in a shopping area in Eilat, intentionally targeting civilians, after the IDF failed to down it despite firing 2 Iron Dome interceptors. Now, Iron Dome has a 90% success rate, folks. So this is a rare slip up here with this drone slipping through. But I believe it is harder to target drones than it is rockets and missiles, from what I've been told. Drones are a tougher nut to crack, so to speak. Now, this incident came today, just days after another Houthi drone smashed into a hotel in Eilat. So they are intentionally targeting civilians. Where's the mainstream media outrage? Where's the outrage from Europe? Where's the outrage at the UN General Assembly? You're going to have to wait a long time to hear that. But Israel, Israel is being targeted incessantly at the UN General Assembly this week, to the point where France, Britain, Portugal, Canada, Australia, etc., weak-kneed, woke, globalist Western governments all announced that they are unilaterally recognizing a Palestinian state. Not only that, by the way, no matter what Israel thinks, they don't care. Not only that, they do it during Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, one of the most sacred times on the Jewish calendar. You can't make this stuff up. But back to the Houthis. Okay. I've been in those I've stayed in hotels in Eilat, and I've been in that shopping area in Eilat. It's beautiful. It's, again, a resort town, a tourist destination. Here's more. Medics reported that among the injured were 2 men, ages 60 and 26, listed in serious condition, and 19 others also injured. And again, imagine, look, I vacation at the good old Jersey Shore, the exotic white sands of the Jersey Shore. Just kidding. Maybe no white sands, but it's my place, and I love it, down in Cape May County, New Jersey. But that's like me and my daughters walking on the boardwalk, and a drone smashes into a pizza joint on the boardwalk, or I'm staying in a hotel. You get the picture. So picture yourself on vacation with your family. This is what Israel is facing with these Houthi onslaughts against the resort town of Eilat. Most of the wounded were hit by shrapnel, with the Israeli Air Force dispatching 2 helicopters to evacuate those who were more severely hurt to Soroka Medical Center in Beersheba nearby. Again, this is southern Israel we're talking about. I mean, this is intolerable. It's unsustainable. So what does Israel do? And Israel's taking a lot of steps, right? What does Israel do? Can we get to a point where the Houthis no longer have the capacity or the will to fire drones and ballistic missiles at Israel? I want to talk about that. And I want to get your thoughts. We've got a very educated audience here. I say this is the most educated audience on YouTube, our watchmen and women on the wall. Leave a comment. I read your comments. I don't respond all the time because I'm a busy dude and there's a lot of comments, but I read your comments. I love them. We've got some smart, very perceptive people who also have the Holy Spirit. And you're commenting and you've got great observations. Let me know what should be done. Considering the obstacles with the Houthis and the challenges that I laid out a minute ago, what can be done to stop these Houthi barrages? It's intolerable. You can't have Israelis. And look, I was in Israel about a month ago, and in Jerusalem, a siren went off in the middle of the night. Incoming Houthi missile. Thankfully, it was shot down. Most are, but some aren't. And then you have a disaster like we saw today. So Israel has done an incredible job of smashing the Iranian ring of fire, that Iranian terror axis, and yet, Hamas down, Hezbollah, Assad gone, and yet that Houthi threat continues to be a persistent thorn in the side. Who'd have thunk it, right? That the Houthis would essentially be the last man standing in that Iranian terror axis. But here we are. So how can this be solved? Can it be solved? I want your thoughts. Number one, I'll share my thoughts in a minute. I also want to break down President Trump's UN speech. Also, surprise, surprise, I know this will come to a great shock to all of our loyal viewers. But Iran is trying to rebuild its ballistic missile program. Oh, I know you're shocked. In the wake of the 12-day war back in June, when Israel destroyed a good amount of those ballistic missiles and the ballistic missile launchers, now Iran's trying to rebuild. And also, Iran dabbling in nuclear again. You might say, are they crazy? Number one, yes, they are. Number two, they're committed fanatics. But guess who's helping? Russia. Good old Vlad. Prophetic implications there. So we'll talk about that as well. Before I do, hey, two things. Number one, quick reminder. If you have not subscribed, you like what you're hearing, current events, breaking news, mainly from Israel and the Middle East, but we take it all around the world. And from an unapologetically biblical perspective, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. We're coming to you most days, sometimes on the weekends too, depending on the news cycle. And in case you haven't noticed, the news cycle is pretty fierce right now in the Middle East. So be sure to subscribe, joining close to 1.1 million watchmen and women on the wall. Secondly, I mentioned those medics, those ambulances who arrived on the scene of this Houthi terror attack in Eilat today. Well, guess what? There's a very high probability that those ambulances were the ambulances of Magen David Adom. They are our sponsor for today's live stream, folks. If you've been watching me for a while now, going back at least 2 years, since October 7th, you know I've been partnering closely and very proudly, very honored to partner with Magen David Adom. Why? They are Israel's emergency services system. These are Israel's first responders. When there's a drone attack on Eilat from the Houthis, an Iranian missile attack, a Hamas suicide bomber, God forbid, a stabbing attack, all of it, Magen David Adom's first responders are the first on the ground. Again, these are Israel's emergency first responders. They dispatch every ambulance in the country, every single one. As Israel's fighting a seven-front war, that's pretty darn important. Secondly, this is a largely volunteer force. Folks, they're putting their lives on the line. I mean, over 30 Magen David Adom volunteers have been killed in the line of duty since October 7th, and they're doing it for free. They're not getting paid for this. These are volunteers doing God's work. Over 17 ambulances have been destroyed, Magen David Adom ambulances, since October 7th. Again, they're not getting paid for this. They're doing God's work. That's where you come in. You can help support this incredible organization and literally help save Israeli lives and literally fulfill that biblical mandate laid out in Genesis 12:3 to bless the people of Israel. It's SaveLivesIsrael.com. SaveLivesIsrael.com to support Magen David Adom's important work. They also control, process, distribute Israel's blood supply, not only to civilians, but to the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces. Right now, they need ambulances, bandages, and a host of supplies because, look, Israel's still locked in this war. Again, a drone striking from Eilat today. SaveLivesIsrael.com. Can't recommend it strongly enough. Magen David Adom. In Israel's time of greatest need, you can actually make a tangible difference. SaveLivesIsrael.com. Check it out. Okay, solutions. Look, we've identified the problem. The Houthis, an apocalyptic, Iranian-backed Shia jihadi terror group, which wants to wipe Israel off the map, slaughter every Jew in the world, and also hates America. They've been, number one, harassing shipping in the Red Sea for over 2 years now. Number two, launching ballistic missiles, drones, even more advanced ballistic missiles, cluster bombs, supplied again by the Iranian regime. Okay, this has been continuing. The US has hit them. Israel has hit them. Yet the drones and missiles keep coming. Not every day, but frequently enough that it is a thorn in the side of Israel in particular. What can be done? Number one, I think Israel is in the process, wisely, of cutting the head off that snake, the Houthi snake. Now, the head of the head is Iran. More on them in a minute. But in the meantime, look, a few weeks ago, as I mentioned earlier, Israel targeted Houthi leadership. Wise move. I mean, it certainly worked with Hamas and Hezbollah. Israel decapitated the leadership, and the organizations fell into disarray. And it was an absolute psychological blow to these terror organizations and a morale killer. Yemen, I think Israel has to repeat that. I think Israel has to get to the point where it dismantles and eliminates literally the entire Houthi leadership. Now, Israel's intel, its intelligence in Yemen wasn't the greatest. They're kind of playing catch up there. They were so focused, obviously, on Hamas, Hezbollah, Syria, Iran. And look, Yemen is 1,000 miles away from Eilat. So I don't want to say the Houthis were an afterthought, but Israel said, look, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We have more pressing, immediate threats on our immediate borders and the threat of a looming nuclear Iran. But now Israel's playing catch up, and they're doing a great job of it. And they're gathering intelligence on the whereabouts of these Houthi leaders, et cetera. So I think, number one, continue to strike the leadership. And number two, continue to strike any and all military targets, and especially the ports and Sana'a International Airport, where the Iranian regime is trying to transit weapons into the Houthis. Number three, let me preface this by saying, no one is calling for boots on the ground in Yemen. No way. But what I am saying is that Israel has some pretty incredible special forces who've done amazing stuff with great intel supplied by the Mossad, of course. Could we see some sort of Israeli special forces operation to wipe out the entire Houthi leadership? I think it's on the table. And could we see the U.S. helping there and other nations, a coalition of nations? And I say that because clearly the Houthis are not just Israel's problem. Again, they're attacking global shipping in the Red Sea. Everyone's affected by it. That's why the U.S. got involved in the first place. So I look for that to kind of play out. And I can tell you, I interviewed Prime Minister Netanyahu about 3 weeks ago. You saw the interview here on the channel. By the way, if you did not, it's in our archives under videos or newscasts, live streams. You'll find it there. My exclusive sit down with Prime Minister Netanyahu. We sat down for about an hour in his office in Jerusalem. I asked him about the Houthis, and he was steadfast. And it was the same a month prior. I was in a briefing with Prime Minister Netanyahu when he was visiting Washington, D.C. Same message, both meetings. We are going to destroy the Houthis. They're doing this now, but eventually we will get to the point where we utterly destroy them. Now, I don't know how long it's going to take. And clearly Israel right now, we've seen in the past 2 years, almost since October 7th, that Israel tries to avoid fighting on multiple fronts. And yet multiple fronts are upon them. But they strategically and methodically and systematically dismantle each ring on that Iranian ring of fire. Look, when they felt like they were in a really good place with Hamas, fast forward to September 2024, boom, literally boom, they shifted the focus to Hezbollah. And Operation Exploding Pager on September 17th of last year, we just passed the 1-year anniversary. And then Israel went on to just smash Hezbollah. Assad collapsed as a result of that in Syria. Now Israel is ending the game, so to speak, not a game, but closing the circle in Gaza City. So they're so focused on that. Do they want to go into Yemen in a major way? Not go into Yemen, but focus on Yemen in a major way? Probably not until they're completely done with Hamas. By the same token, the Houthis cannot keep doing this. I mean, this is 2 drone attacks in Eilat, in a major Israeli city, civilians, tourist destination, in the span of a week. And today, I mean, you hit a hotel, they hit a shopping area. It can't continue. So stay tuned, because Israel is going to deal with that. Let me tell you real quick. I'm going to get Trump's UN speech, which was epic in every way. Real quick, I just want you to know this. Number one, satellite images show that Iran has started rebuilding key missile sites hit by Israel back in that 12-day war in June. Experts say a main component, the large mixers needed to produce solid fuel for these Iranian weapons, is still missing. Iran believes resuming missile production is key to deterring Israel. So know that, number one. Number two, know this. Russia and Iran just inked a memo on constructing nuclear plants. How nice. In the Islamic Republic of Iran. Russia and Iran signed a memorandum of understanding on the construction of small nuclear power plants in Iran. So I think it's pretty clear. I know, let's see this. Iran says it has no intention. And Mahmoud Pezeshkian, the Iranian president, at the UN General Assembly just today said, we're not building nuclear weapons. Of course, I believe him. Come on, are we serious? When it comes to the Iranian regime, Ronald Reagan said about the Soviets, trust but verify. When it comes to Iran's regime, don't trust but verify. Of course, they want to rebuild the nuclear program. And already they're rebuilding the ballistic missile program, or at least trying to, reportedly with some help from China. Russia helping on the nuclear side, China helping with ballistic missiles. But folks, here's the deal. And I've talked about this the past few weeks on the live stream. There's a very good chance that you see a resumption of open hostilities between Israel and Iran, precisely because of what I just laid out, because Iran's pushing the envelope once again. And Israel's philosophy is Iran literally has no air defenses right now. Israel will go in and they will bomb those missile production facilities. I have no doubt. So don't be surprised one day if you get breaking news, and here we are in the Watchman talking exactly that. Israeli fighter jets are in the skies above Iran for the first time since June. Because Iran, again, I said it at the top of the Houthis. Why did the Houthis keep firing? Why won't Hamas surrender? Why would Iran, after it's been thumped, try to develop missiles again? Because evil is relentless. Demonic evil is relentless because it exists for that reason, to create mayhem. This is what they do. They're demonically driven. They will not stop until you decisively destroy them. Exhibit A, the Nazis in World War II. So keep a very close eye on that, Israel and Iran. But we want to close. We talk about confronting evil, calling it out. We talk about appeasement, the dangers of appeasing evil. Then we have to talk about the UN and Europe in particular. Now, what do European, weak, globalist, woke bureaucrats, Chinese communists, Iranian regime terrorists, and third world tyrants all have in common? All of them were in attendance yesterday at the UN General Assembly as President Trump delivered a blistering speech calling all of them out, and rightly so. A few big takeaways from the speech. Number one, he slammed, thank God, the likes of Britain, France, Canada for unilaterally, without Israel's consent or input, recognizing a Palestinian state, rewarding Hamas, empowering and emboldening Hamas to fight another day. Why should Hamas surrender if they're getting a state? They carry out October 7th. They still hold hostages. In return, Europe, Canada, Australia want to give them a state. If you're Hamas, you're feeling great right now. Trump called them out for that, thankfully, and said, look, I support Israel. I always have and I always will. Israel's the first line of defense for Western civilization. Trump gets it. So he called the Europeans out for this madness on how they've emboldened Hamas. He called them out for their refusal to defend Judeo-Christian Western civilization, for their mass Muslim immigration. He specifically cited London. You can't even recognize London anymore under Mayor Sadiq Khan. And newsflash, that's a little preview for New York City. Sadiq Khan is a leftist, globalist. I wouldn't say he's a radical Islamist, but he's certainly sympathetic to them. He's Muslim. Zoran Mamdani in New York City, similar deal. Leftist, globalist. He is an Islamist, rabidly anti-Israel. So you got a preview of what New York City is going to look like if you go to London under Sadiq Khan's leadership, and I use that word loosely. Khan, of course, responded to President Trump, called him sexist, Islamophobic, homophobic, misogynist, etc. I mean, at this point, you can rattle it off. It's like the coexist bumper sticker. The left is just predictably pathetic in their rhetoric, and if you say something they don't like, they call you a racist. We know the drill by now. And you know what? It's falling on deaf ears at this point, at least in America. More and more people are saying, enough. After you murdered Charlie Kirk, enough is enough, even before you did that. And we saw that with the election result last November. But That election result brought us President Trump, and he called out the Europeans. He called out the UN itself as a corrupt institution. I loved it. It was a great speech in front of all of them, all the so-called international community to their faces. That's why I loved it. And he also made the point that Christianity is the world's most persecuted religion, bar none. Lastly, to give you an idea, and look, the United States is the world's largest funder of the UN, 13 billion in 2023 alone, 13 billion US taxpayer dollars. That's coming from me, by the way, some of it, a little chunk of it. But the UN yesterday, I believe intentionally it was done. If you saw the footage, basically sabotaged Trump's appearance. He, his wife, and his team are on an escalator, and the escalator just suddenly stops in midstream. I mean, that's dangerous. That's physically, you could fall backwards, stumble, and it left him exposed and prone. I mean, not good. Then he starts the speech, the teleprompter's broken. Then there were audio issues. I mean, intentionally sabotaging him. And apparently, reportedly, there were UN minions in the days before communicating, I guess, on social media. We should mess with him, that kind of thing. So why on earth should the U.S. continue to be the main funder of the UN and to the tune of billions of dollars in taxpayer money each year, host the UN in New York? It's time for Congress, the U.S. Congress, to cut funding to the UN. Strongly consider it, unless they change, and I won't wait around holding my breath for that to happen. So President Trump laid down the gauntlet. Thank God he's a modern-day Churchill, along with Bibi, in a sea of Chamberlains, sadly. But we're laying it out for you here every day on The Watchman. Keep it right here. Great being with you today. Keep it all in prayer as well. Prayer works. Until next time, God bless you, and remember, never hold your peace.
Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.